Imagine a world ruled by powerful gods, each one controlling a piece of daily life. The sun god Ra, Hapi the god of the Nile, the frog goddess Hecate. Egypt was a land of countless deities, a civilization that believed its very existence depended on pleasing them. But what happens when these gods fall silent? What happens when a power far greater arrives? This is the story of a showdown, not just between two men, Moses and Pharaoh, but between the one true God and the entire pantheon of Egypt. It all started with a simple request: let my people go. Moses, a shepherd who had once been a prince of Egypt, stood before the most powerful man on earth, Pharaoh. He carried a message from a god Pharaoh didn't recognize, the god of the enslaved Hebrews. Pharaoh laughed. Who is this god? Egypt had its own gods, strong and mighty. Why should he listen? Pharaoh's heart was hard, and his answer was a firm no. He even made the Hebrews work harder, forcing them to make bricks without straw. The people cried out, their hope fading, but this was just the beginning. The stage was set for a divine confrontation that would shake Egypt to its core. The first blow was struck at the very heart of Egypt's lifeblood, the Nile River. The Nile was everything: a source of water, food, and transportation. The Egyptians worshipped it as the god Hapi, but with a touch of Aaron's staff, the life-giving river turned to blood. The water became foul, undrinkable. Every fish died, filling the air with a terrible stench. The people dug wells, desperate for a single drop of clean water, and Hapi, the river god, was powerless. For 7 days, Egypt choked on the blood of its own river, a terrifying sign that their god could not protect them. Pharaoh's magicians managed to replicate the trick on a small scale, and his heart remained hard. But a seed of doubt was planted. Next came the frogs. The goddess of fertility and childbirth, Hecate, was often depicted with the head of a frog. Frogs were a sign of life, but what happens when that sign becomes a curse? Suddenly, frogs swarmed from the river, covering every inch of Egypt. They were in the houses, in the bedrooms, in the ovens, in the kneading bowls. There was no escape, the constant croaking, the slimy bodies everywhere. It was a nightmare. Pharaoh, disgusted and overwhelmed, called for Moses. He promised to let the people go if the frogs would just disappear. Moses prayed, and the frogs died. But as soon as the land had rest, Pharaoh broke his promise. His heart was hardened once more. The message was clear. The goddess Hecate couldn't control her own symbols. The plagues then became personal, crawling under the skin. First, gnats. From the dust of the earth, a cloud of tiny, biting insects rose up, tormenting both man and beast. The Egyptian god of the earth, Geb, was silent. This time, Pharaoh's own magicians were stumped. They couldn't replicate it. This is the finger of God, they admitted to Pharaoh. But still, he would not listen, so the torment grew. Swarms of flies descended upon the Egyptians, but strangely, they avoided the land of Goshen, where the Hebrews lived. A clear line was drawn in the sand, separating those protected by God from those suffering under Pharaoh's rule. The God who was supposed to protect them from insects was nowhere to be found. Again, Pharaoh begged for relief, made a promise, and broke it the moment the flies were gone. The plagues then escalated, attacking the cornerstones of Egyptian wealth and society. A terrible disease struck the livestock. Horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, and sheep belonging to the Egyptians died in the fields. The Egyptian economy, heavily reliant on these animals, was crippled. The goddesses Hathor and Apis, represented as cows, offered no protection. Yet again, not a single animal belonging to the Hebrews was harmed. The distinction was undeniable, a miracle visible for all to see. Still, Pharaoh's heart was like stone. Then, the affliction turned to the people themselves. Moses threw soot into the air, and it became a fine dust that settled on the Egyptians, causing festering boils to break out on their bodies. The pain was immense. Even Pharaoh's magicians, covered in sores, could not stand before Moses. The gods of medicine and healing, like Imhotep and Sekhmet, were proven utterly useless. The suffering was intense, a direct physical assault that left no one untouched. And still, Pharaoh refused to yield. The sky itself became a weapon. God warned of a hailstorm unlike any seen before. Moses stretched out his staff, and the sky turned black. Thunder roared, lightning flashed, and massive hailstones mixed with fire rained down from the heavens. It shattered trees, destroyed crops, and struck down anyone caught outside. The sky goddess, Nut, and the god of storms, Seth, were overthrown. It was an awesome, terrifying display of raw power. For the first time, Pharaoh seemed to break. "I have sinned," he confessed. "The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are wicked." He begged Moses to stop the storm, promising to let the people go. But the moment the sky cleared, his old stubbornness returned. His confession was hollow. What could be worse than fire from the sky? An east wind blew all night, and by morning, it had brought a plague of locusts. They were a living, devouring carpet that covered the face of the whole land, so that the land was darkened. They ate everything the hail had left behind, every tree, every plant, every blade of grass. Egypt was stripped bare, a desolate wasteland. The god of crops, Osiris, could do nothing to stop the devastation. A desperate Pharaoh called for Moses once more, begging for forgiveness, but his heart was playing a familiar game. Then came a darkness that could be felt. For 3 days, a thick, suffocating darkness fell upon Egypt. No one could see anyone else. No one could even move from their place. It was a terrifying, absolute blackness. The greatest of all Egyptian gods, Ra, the sun god, had been defeated. His daily journey across the sky was halted. The sun, the most powerful and worshipped entity in Egypt, was extinguished. Yet, in the homes of the Hebrews, there was light. This plague struck at the very core of Egyptian faith. It was a terrifying, paralyzing stillness, a taste of a world without its primary god. Pharaoh, now truly shaken, tried to negotiate. He said the Hebrews could go, but they had to leave their flocks and herds behind. Moses refused. Not a hoof would be left behind. Enraged, Pharaoh gave his final, fatal warning: "Get away from me. The day you see my face again, you will die." And Moses replied, "You are right. I will not see your face again." One final, devastating plague was coming. This one would not be a nuisance or an economic blow. This would be a blow to the heart of every Egyptian family. God instructed the Hebrews to prepare. They were to take a perfect lamb, sacrifice it, and mark their doorposts with its blood. That night, they were to roast and eat the lamb in haste, ready to leave at a moment's notice. As midnight fell over a dark and silent Egypt, the angel of death passed through the land. In every house not marked by the blood of the lamb, the firstborn son died. From the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, to the firstborn of all the livestock. A great cry rose up throughout Egypt, for there was not a house where someone was not dead. The god of life, the protector of Pharaoh, Osiris, was powerless. Every Egyptian god had been systematically dismantled, proven to be nothing. That very night, a broken Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "Go," he cried, "leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have requested, take your flocks and herds, and go. And also, bless me." The long night of slavery was over. An entire nation walked out of bondage, not as fleeing slaves, but as a liberated people, laden with silver and gold given to them by their former masters. The power of God had been displayed not just for Pharaoh, but for all the world to see, then and now. It's a story that echoes through history, a powerful reminder that no power on earth can stand against the will of the one true God. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from history. See you next time.